Hello to those of you who don't know me, I'm Rachel. I am a disabled and neurodivergent founder. I'm a social researcher, an advisor, and a strategist on accessible, future facing work with a particular passion for AI. A verbal quick ID. I am a young, early 30s white woman with long brown hair that's got a bit of a curl today, minimal makeup. I'm wearing a lovely and warm blue jumper, and behind me are some bookcases filled with trinkets and books and things that I really should uh, actually read. If you are like me, there's so many books that take a fancy, and yeah. Anyway, I am also a disabled person, and giving a talk for the next hour, I'm quite low in energy today. So I have included some quite natural breaks in the form of exercises and thinking time. If you don't need the break, feel free to put in the comments any thoughts related to the exercise. But if you do need the break, jot down the question and revisit it. These definitely aren't something that you need to react to. These are things to reflect on. And you can join me in hydrating and just taking a pause. I've got two big glasses of water here. Um, so I come to this as a Churchill Fellow, which is an incredible social researcher initiative where I studied how building inclusive work cultures for disabled people actually ends up driving wider innovation in organizations. And a key theme of that was how AI is really has the potential to be an equalizer for many of us who struggle with the concept of like reasonable adjustments in the workplace, and actually figuring out how work works best for us. So what this session is going to cover is why assistive technology has always been a part of disabled work, how AI already shows up in everyday tools, using AI affordably and responsibly in your business, and also writing a simple AI policy, even if it is just for you. So this isn't really about, corporate compliance. Small businesses, you have the opportunity to take this topic and develop and really experiment with it. For us, this is about survival, really. It's as much about survival as it is about sustainability and also power. It's really important here to recognise that we as disabled people are not broken systems. We run businesses inside broken systems, and we're now layering AI on top of those systems. And there's so much to learn and experiment and unpack here. So this is very much an introductory look at this topic. By no means is it the be all and end all. And I really encourage you to continue learning, continue reading, and continue having play with this. So the first exercise I would like to offer to you is, how do you use AI? Or if you don't already use it, how would you like to start using it? So 2-3 minutes to reflect. Again, you don't have to react, you don't have to comment if you don't want to. And you can join me in hydrating and having a drink. Yeah, if you'd like to type your answers in, you can share. If you would just like to reflect, there is no pressure at all to contribute to the comments. Okay, thank you so much. That's really interesting. Again, no pressure to respond to these exercises. For me, it is also just a way of helping my brain catch up with where we're at. I have an energy disability and it is really flaring up today. So, we have been here before. Disabled people have always adapted to systems that were not built for us. We always strive to remove barriers that are created by systems. We've hacked them because we physically do not have the time, energy, resources often to be able to do something in a way that a non-disabled person is able to do. And the aim for AI and how I think we need to start looking at it is that it is a tool to help us reduce our physical, cognitive, and sensory load. And when used well, it can also enable participation on equal terms. Assistive tech is not new. And AI inside assistive tech is also not new. In fact, it has been around for decades. What is new is the scale and the mainstreaming of this. It is absolutely a buzzword. And it has been used to sell tools and software and tech on a scale that we haven't seen before. So interestingly, because we've been using AI in our assistive technology, it has always been used for adjustments, and whether it was labeled that way or not. So examples for that can include like speech to text, like converting with it, written language, predictive text, reducing typing effort, and live captions, turning speech into text. These rely on AI. This is machine learning and pattern recognition. And within that, it's also important to recognize AI is expansive. It's not just ChatGPT. Those are large language models, they're generative AI, but actually AI comes in many different packages. And ultimately, these are all a form of reasonable adjustments. So a reminder that a reasonable adjustment is anything that removes or reduces a barrier. It's not a favour, it's not special treatment, and the context is dynamic. So in the UK, we have a defined legislation of what a reasonable adjustment is, but often in that case, the term reasonable itself acts as a barrier. Reasonable shouldn't and is not about cost alone, and it is about proportionality and impact. So just as a way of thinking about actually, even if something's not labeled as a reasonable adjustment, if it is a tool that is helping you reduce or remove a barrier, it is a reasonable adjustment. So what AI is and what it isn't. AI is not a shortcut. It's not a replacement for judgment. It is definitely not a productivity contest. AI is a reasonable adjustment. It is a support tool. And it is a way to design work around real capacity. So another exercise for you, again, feel free to put it in the comments, your answer, or to just sit and reflect with that question as well. When you think about AI, what are the first 3 words that come to mind? Okay, thank you. So I am reading the comments as they're coming in, and we will absolutely be getting into the ethical ambiguity of using the tech and the tools. So what we've just covered is very much context setting. And I'm always really keen to make sure that you are going to leave with actionable and really clear kind of next steps on what is next. So what we'll cover now in this kind of second half is like where you can find AI and how to implement it as a reasonable adjustment for yourself, as well as considering what a policy is and how that can help with decision making on deciding when or when not to use the tool. So we'll start off with where you can find AI. The big tech giants are catching up fast, and AI is now everywhere. It's in Google, it's in Microsoft, from our calendars to our inboxes to our social media tools, and so many more. So if you are saying, well, I do not use AI, sadly, that is not the case. You may not be using it consciously, but you are absolutely using it because the software that is now just a standard, it is included in pretty much all of it. So AI often lives inside our email and our document tools. If you've ever started typing and predictive text has come out and finished your word for you, that is AI driven. It's in video meeting platforms. It's in accounting and admin software and scheduling and task systems. So an example of it being used in video meeting platforms is a little filter. So right now, you may not know, but I actually have a tiny little filter that is on my background, and it's I don't really love the name of it, but the beauty filter, just to kind of make me look a little less ill. That is powered by AI. If you've got an accounting and admin software where you input numbers and it generates everything in a really clear spreadsheet with graphs and the data all plotted, that is AI driven, and scheduling and task systems as well. Often it's not large language model generative AI, it's this machine learning tools, but again, that is still AI. But what I really want to kind of hammer home here is that by assistive tech, we can also think bigger. And it's not just tools like screen readers, it's tools that assist us in our work, just full stop. So emails, project boards, calendars, they are all tools that assist us in our work. And AI is already inside all of them. So you do not need specialist tools to start working efficiently with AI. It's already embedded. And again, like this is still using AI-enabled technology as an adjustment. So we do not need to be spending money on shiny new software that claims to solve a very specific problem, and they're often quite expensive, and it's trial and error, and after like a few weeks or a month of using it, it falls to the wayside because it's not able to actually integrate into your wider processes, or you're frustrated because it's not actually that obvious of how you're meant to be using it. So you do not need a subscription to the latest AI software that claims it can do all of your admin for you. Practical uses for disabled and neurodivergent founders. So these are all uses that I personally actually use it for, and really recommend it to be used this way as kind of like an introductory first step into using the technology. So drafting emails and proposals, summarizing meetings instead of taking notes in the meeting, breaking tasks into smaller steps, and creating first drafts to edit later. The caveat here is that AI is a supportive tool. It supports your thinking. It does not replace it. And if you're finding that you're not thinking through your work and you're passing it to AI to complete it, you need to reevaluate your use. I know that I work my best when I have had the ability to rest. And I use AI as a tool to reduce my cognitive load and take time away from my computer, whether that's for fresh air or to go and have a nap. And actually stepping away is often when that creative spark happens and a problem I've been trying to solve actually finally makes sense. AI as a tool is also incredible for the concept of individualization. So we all exist in systems and use tools that often there's one way of completing it. There's one way of reading information. And if you do not fall into the person for which that is designed, it is a real struggle. AI has the power of offering things in multiple formats. It can support pacing, and it definitely normalizes variation. So this is about energy protection and not speed. And just because you could be completing some work faster doesn't mean you need to fill that time by taking on more tasks. So an exercise now is, have you felt pressured to use AI to be more productive and fill the time you've saved with more work? I'm feeling all right to just continue here for a second. So I really want to kind of build on this particular slide because I think this is one of the kind of scales of where we have to weigh up whether using AI is worth the use of it. We have to remember that we are not machines. We are human. Creativity is where we find our joy. And it's where we reduce our stress, and it's how we connect with others. There's a concept called human in the loop, which I'll go into further on. But it's the idea that using AI properly, so responsibly, requires human oversight and input. At every stage where there's judgment to be made, you have to be making that decision. You cannot offload that to AI. So you can embed AI into what you already do. Please do not create new processes just to be able to use AI. Instead, add it into existing tools and use it to replace manual steps. The caveat here is if it adds work or makes it harder down the road for you, then it is not an adjustment. Yes, maybe you found a good note taker and it produces notes really well, so you don't have to do it in a meeting. But then if it's actually adding 2-3 hours into your diary the next day because you have to go through the notes and figure out who said what, or pull out all the actions from it because you weren't making a note as they go, that's more work down the road. So you either need to find a different tool or recognize where that human in the loop, where you need to be a part of the process in order to ultimately still make your life easier. So I'm going to show you an AI supported workflow that is a very real, screenshotted way that I use this as a tool. So it's a very busy slide. I'm going to describe it first. So it says, let's look at an AI supported flow. So this is for a project that I ran called More Than Reasonable. And it was a white paper that I published last year. And this year I'm starting on an engagement strategy to build on the work of that white paper. So there's 4 screenshots here, and there's 4 different tools here, and they all feed into another. So you can see that through the arrows that go across. So the first flow is that I empty my head using Gemini, Google Meet transcription, and summary feature. So this is actually me just opening up a Google Meet, turning on the Gemini transcription, and me talking to it. There's nobody else on the call there with me, it's just me talking. And I prefer to do that rather than record and then upload, because again, it's cutting down steps, and I know that I have oversight over that whole process. So I then take the summary of this section that it produces for me, and I ask a large language model to plan it out as tasks to add on monday.com. So just a caveat, since actually creating this presentation and doing these screenshots, I am moving away from ChatGPT over to a different LLM. Again, like the ethical reasons are I don't want to be giving ChatGPT any more of my data, and I'm very conscious about actually who's in charge of the companies that are running these. So just as again, that's personal choice for me. I am stepping away from ChatGPT. But the same prompt would look the same from a different large language model. So I get the plan, I have it all planned out, and it is done in the way of the format to the site. So it knows what monday.com looks like and is doing it in a way that I can process. I then have decided that that is where my human in the loop break is. So I then take what I need from that plan, and I manually input it into monday.com. I could probably find a tool to support me at that stage, but I've identified that this is the best place for me to come in with my human judgment. And that's because I've got over a decade of experience in project planning, and I want to make sure that I'm only putting into monday.com the tasks and the breakdown of the tasks in the way that is the least overwhelming for me and for the team that will be working with me on it. So I've then got a task list in monday.com, and it's all broken down with the help of AI. And then I then use monday.com has an inbuilt AI review tool. So I then every fortnight on either a Friday before or the Monday morning, I will track progress. And this helps me stay accountable for deadlines. It shows me where I might be falling behind, or I might be even ahead of myself. So I can then plan my energy for the week ahead, knowing what takes priority. But always in the back of my head is responsible use. And responsible use matters. We all have a responsibility to define how we want to use AI. And that can look different for every single one of us. AI should always support your values, and transparency is also always important. So an exercise for you here, while I do take a minute to have another drink of water, is what does responsible use look like to you? Either write that down to revisit and take a break with me, or drop that in the comments. Okay, thank you. And sorry, yes, I should have said I am moving to Claude. Um, in the research that I've done, out of all of the options, and again, there really is no gold star option here, but out of all of them, Claude, I feel, has the best. So all LLMs have like a master prompt that is behind them, and it is an extensive document. And Anthropic, the company behind Claude, is one of the only ones to have actually released what that prompt looks like. And out of all of them, they do take learning and transparency and ethics a lot more seriously than the others. So I am currently in the process of moving the agents that I built on ChatGPT. I'm downloading the data and I'm moving it across to Claude. So I don't have to start from scratch, essentially. So you've decided that you want to use AI or you want to use more of it. This is very much, back to you do not need special tools for this. I think being super conscious that if you do use assistive technology like screen readers, to have a play and make sure that actually the accessibility features of the tool that you want to use do align with the assistive tech that you need. There's no point in using an AI that combats that, and then it becomes an even bigger headache for you to use. When that is the case, I would always also encourage you to share it on LinkedIn that something hasn't worked for you. As a community, I think we need to be a lot more open about the tools that we use and the tools that that don't work for us as a community. And also start off on the free and basic plans. You do not need to be investing in the premium subscriptions for these straight off the bat. Make sure that you are using it and having a play with it to make sure that it is the right tool for you. And also, if you can, identify what part of your workflow AI is most supportive with, and finding a tool that replaces multiple functions. So rather it being one specific one for this, one specific one for that, that you are not overworking yourself in jumping between AI tools. So for me, that's I've shouted it out before. I really like Monday.com. Their AI function is what helps me the most with that. And then also previously ChatGPT, soon to be Claude. That for me is a tool that replaces multiple functions of project processes, note taking, summaries, etc. And yeah, just to caveat there, like affordability is part of accessibility. If you're seeing a tool that costs hundreds of pounds, that's not accessible. And we need to recognize that if we can all share which tools are working best for us, there is power in our community of if there's a tool that works amazing and we all start using it for its access, for its affordability, then that will only drive more solutions to be created that suit our community. Let me go back to my notes. You also need to remember your legal obligations here. In the UK, we have very strict GDPR rules. If you are inputting any sensitive data, names, email addresses, personal information, whether that is of your for your business, for your clients, that is in breach of GDPR, whether you have the paid version or not. So questions to ask yourself here is, if you do not know how your data is handled, pause. If you do not know what is safe for you to upload, pause. If you do have a team, do they know how to use it? Do you have an agreement with clients on your use of AI as well? And if you don't know the answer to either of those, pause and take the time to find that information out. And you can then decide whether it is an acceptable use of the AI or whether actually it's crossed the line that you've set yourself or that GDPR has set, and you then know, okay, so I can't use it for this. So this is why an AI policy really matters. At a minimum, a policy should include why you use AI, what tasks it supports, what it is not used for, how data is handled, and how outputs are reviewed. This is important for yourself if you are a solo founder, so you can share it with clients or freelancers that you work with, and also keep yourself on track with how you use it. I mean, this is especially helpful if a client is anti-AI. And if you can show them how you use it, especially if its main use is as a reasonable adjustment, then that can go a long way to building trust. It's even more useful for teams where you know your team is using it, but there's little to no oversight. Putting it alongside your data policy is a really great home for it. Make sure it's linked to that as well. I do have a free template of what an AI policy should include and look like, which you can scan the code there, and I can also drop in the comments the direct link to it. It's free. For me, this is about knowledge sharing and making sure we're all upskilled for, the next digital evolution that is well and truly in process. So this as well is where you can decide and define the ethics, the responsible use, and the sustainability element of this. So at MoleWorks, I make sure that whatever I pay for an AI tool, I'm matching that, and I am, at the end of the year, I am donating the matched amount that I've spent using AI tools to a local charity. So this year it's for a disability charity, but if actually sustainability is more important for you, then donate it to an ecological impact. Make sure that you have that alignment with your values. You can also define how you disclose that AI has been used. So here under acceptable use, you can say if AI has been used within a process, then a sentence will be included at the beginning or at the end that's saying this work was supported by AI, or this work was produced with the support of AI. I'd recommend that, especially if you're doing client work where they know you're going to use AI, and you can kind of have a defined definition of what does supported by AI mean for you. So everybody's just on the same page, and it's super transparent over what has been used and when. I think as well, just to before we move on to the Q&A section, this is very much an introductory to this topic, and there is way more that you can learn if you feel more confident. There's way more to dig into from the ethics and the access side of things. So use this as a jumping off point. If there are specific areas that you are like, oh, I really wish she'd gone into more detail about this, please feel free to drop me a DM or send me an email. And I can absolutely share resources, or we can have a chat, and I can go into more detail. I'm always super conscious doing talks like this to such a wide-ranging group of people is that the digital divide is one of the biggest barriers for disabled people in upskilling in this area. And making sure we're all kind of at the beginning on the same page about what something means, why we use it, and how to keep using it is kind of why I've chosen to start this topic here. But again, like there's a wide range of ways to kind of grow and learn from this point. So here is you can scan this and connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message, or feel free to email the office and I can get back to you. And also check out the website for the policy template and more blogs and resources to kind of learn at your level and your leisure.